So here's some pro tips from a picture fixer-upper. I'm going to begin with my patch tool. I usually always begin with this tool just because it can get the most done in the least amount of time, and if I can fix it with this tool, then there's no need to go in with a more time-intensive tool to do any fixing. I'm going to show you how cool this is with this cheek area first. Now anytime I use this tool to select something, I want to make sure that I stay away from details like creases in the skin or well, mostly creases in the skin. Changes in direction, so I want to stay away from like this collar line and just stay within areas that the edges will be able to blend well from. Now I've already got a large area of skin cleaned up on this baby's forehead, so I have somewhere to move this. If I didn't, I'd need to clean that up first, but it's cleaned up, so I'm going to move this up to here on the forehead. And the reason I'm doing that instead of moving it over here, for example, is this is skin texture, and I'm wanting to move the texture to this new spot. When I let go, it's going to think for a minute and then change it, deselect, Command D, and look how amazing that is. If I zoom in, you can see there's some discoloration, but considering all the damage that was there, this is amazing. Next, I would continue with that same tool, the patch tool, and work within areas of detail. So I would stay inside things like these creases or the edge of the lip and use this patch tool. So I would create my selection but stop just before I get to those. So again, I'm looking to make sure that the areas have an edge that can blend well. And I do this really fast. I pretty much keep my thumb on my space bar so that I can move my picture around, and then shift it over to the Command key and use Command D to deselect. And that's pretty much all I'm doing here, and I can get some pretty small detail. This tool actually is good for small areas. You just have to be a little bit more conscious of what you're selecting. And things like this spot of his eyebrow, if I select a large area, I need to make sure I match it up with another part of the eyebrow so that that is not interrupted. This tool is also great for things like well, I guess I shouldn't say also great because really this is the same thing. So again, I'm just staying away from those edges, and I guess that would be my major pro tip for this little video, is stay away from the edges. An edge can also be looked at as a major change in direction. So you'll notice that here the light is shining down on the bridge of his nose, but then we get some shadow over here. If you can, when you select an area, move it over to somewhere that's similar. You'll just get better results that way. Spots like this that seem almost too damaged to survive, you can try it first with your patch tool just to see what happens. You might be able to get the worst of it fixed. And I'm going to attack this in just slightly smaller chunks, and I'm moving them to parts of the face that have kind of a similar quality, whether it be texture or lighting or both, which is the best situation. And that actually took quite a bit of that out of there. Look at that. That's the difference. Areas like this ear are my next challenge, and there's not anywhere here to haul this over to get fixed to. So what I could do here is grab my stamp tool and sample somewhere over here that looks like it might fit in okay, and really just start building and see what happens. So I'm going to clone in and pay attention to the shape of the ear, and this is where you just have to be observant and try and bring things up to blend together. Now here's what I mean by blend, is I've taken some of this up here, but it's fairly obvious where I left off. If I grab my stamp tool and reduce my opacity maybe to about 30%, make this a little smaller, when I clone over that, it will do only a partial, and that will start blending it back together a little bit better. When you do corrections like this, you just have to try something, see if it works, and if it works, keep working with it. And if it doesn't work, back up and try something else. The area here that's so covered up we're not even sure what was there, I have to guess by what's around it. So here we've got the top of this little shirt that's heading into shadow. This is shadow, that's shadow. So it's a pretty good bet that all of this in here is shadow. Now I don't have a large area that I can select this with my patch tool and pull that to, so I'm just going to have to use my stamp tool. I'm going to increase this back to 100% and start with an area down here and work my way up. So I'm resampling, working a little further, resampling, working a little further. Once I get a larger area that's kind of fixed, then it's faster to work, if that makes any sense. It's because I'm not having to watch so very closely both sides of this process, where my stamp is selecting from and where it's going to. So again, here I've come up to this spot where my fix from down here looks okay, but it's really obvious when it's up here. This is another spot where the patch tool can come in. Now I'm going to just keep stamping here. It's going to look really messy for a minute, but it will make sense momentarily, I promise. The main thing is just be observant. Look at what is there, what's not there, and then try and guess what should be there based off of the information around it. So this really isn't about being artistic, this is about being observant. There's a very, very small margin of difference between those two, but I think a lot of people don't know that. So now I have this area that's roughed in, but it's not blending well. This is where I can grab my patch tool and select those areas that aren't blending well and just start moving them around, and eventually you'll notice that this becomes looking a lot more like the probably just a lot more like you think it should be. Spots like this where scratches go across a edge, so it's going from the shirt over to the shadow, you can use your patch tool for this. You select an area that includes both the dark and the light, and then move it along the line to where the edges meet up and let go. This does not always work, but sometimes it does. So again, that patch tool is really your most powerful tool. Might as well see if you can fix something with that before you spend lots and lots of time with the little nitty-gritty tools. I remember I had in art school I had a life drawing instructor, and he would just about flip out if a student pulled out a not a Sharpie, that's a marker, a mechanical pencil to do their life drawing with, because it limited them so immediately to doing something in a small area. And that's kind of how I feel like this tool is, and I can use this as my big charcoal tool to keep the analogy going, instead of pulling out my little tiny pencil, which would be like my clone stamp tool. Okay, so those are my pro tips at this stage.